You know, when we think of isolated tribes, it's pretty easy to picture people somehow left behind by time, almost primitive. But way out in the rainforests of Indonesia, there is a culture that completely flips that idea on its head. Let's talk about the incredible world of the Mentawai. And listen, that is not an exaggeration. This quote really gets to the core of their story. They aren't just getting by in the jungle, they're absolute masters of it. They have this deep ecological and social wisdom that, frankly, most of us have completely lost. And they've been perfecting this for 4,000 years. I mean, think about that for a second. This isn't some new age experiment. It's a highly refined system for living, passed down through generations, and it's perfectly tuned to their environment. So the big question is, how on earth do they do it? Well, let's start with the hard evidence of their genius, their incredible mastery of the physical world, from engineering all the way to biochemistry. Okay, first, forget everything you think you know about a house. The Mentawai longhouse, called an is a true architectural marvel. It's home to multiple families, and get this, it's built without a single nail, using this incredibly intricate system of wooden joints. But it's way more than a home. It's also designed to be a kind of spiritual filter, protecting everyone inside from bad spirits, which they believe travel low to the ground. Now, this is where you really see a clash of worlds. Back in the 1950s, the government came in and tried to modernize them with these single-family concrete houses. And the result? It was a total disaster. The isolation just shattered their social fabric and led to widespread depression. In the end, they just abandoned the new houses and went right back to the It proved their ancient design wasn't just traditional, it was flat-out superior for their way of life. And their brilliance just keeps going when it comes to food. The sago palm is basically their all-in-one supermarket. They can process one single trunk into enough starchy flour to feed an entire family for 6 months. But here's the truly genius part. They leave the rotting trunk behind, and it becomes the perfect incubator for sago grubs, which are a fatty, protein-rich food source that gives them all the nutrients the flour is missing. It is a completely zero-waste, self-sustaining food system. It's incredible. And if you want to see their understanding of biochemistry, look no further than this. Their arrow poison isn't just one simple toxin. It's a sophisticated 3-stage biological weapon. First, they have a neurotoxin. Then, they mix it with a compound that helps it absorb into the bloodstream. But the real masterstroke is the third ingredient, a super potent chili pepper. The capsaicin in the chili acts as a vasodilator. It opens up the blood vessels and creates a biological superhighway to deliver that poison straight to the animal's heart and brain in seconds. And because of this complex chemistry, it's lethal to their prey, but perfectly safe for them to eat afterward. Okay, so let's shift from their external world to their internal one. Because for the Mentawai, the human body isn't just, a vessel. It's a canvas, a way to communicate directly with the spirit world. And that brings us to a question that for most of us is, well, it's pretty challenging. It looks like an unbelievably painful act of body modification. But to really get it, you have to understand their concept of the soul. They have a belief called Sikere. The idea is that your soul can actually get bored with your body. And if that soul becomes unhappy and decides to leave, you'll die. So teeth sharpening, it has nothing to do with our ideas of beauty. It's literally a life or death procedure to keep their soul happy and anchored to their physical body. It's a form of spiritual security. The exact same logic applies to their amazing, intricate tattoos, which they call titi. This is not some spontaneous decision you make one weekend. It's a lifelong journey that starts when you're a kid. Each incredibly painful session marks a new stage of life. It signifies your social status, and it deepens your connection to nature. The patterns on their skin literally tell the story of who they are and where they fit in the universe. So you can see how this deep spiritual connection weaves through absolutely every part of their society. It creates this complex web of invisible rules that governs everything from who's in charge to who you marry. Take their shamans, the Sikere. To become one, you have to prove your absolute, unwavering commitment to the community. Anthropologists have a term for this: costly signaling. By willingly giving up basic human pleasures, things like romance, certain prized foods, even modern clothes, they are showing everyone that the community's well-being comes way before their own personal desires. It's how they earn that ultimate, unbreakable trust. And marriage? Well, it's not just about two people falling in love. It's a really complex economic and social contract between entire clans. The groom's family has to provide a bride price, mostly in semi-wild pigs, which they see as a kind of spiritual savings account. This system makes sure that every marriage is a community-wide investment, which strengthens the whole social fabric and, not surprisingly, makes divorce extremely rare. Now, some of their rules to an outsider can seem, well, pretty strange, like this one. What could making a canoe possibly have to do with being pregnant? But the logic behind it is actually really profound. It all comes down to a principle you could call sympathetic magic. Think about it. The act of hollowing out a canoe is about creating emptiness. That is the spiritual opposite of pregnancy, which is all about filling the womb, creating life. In their worldview, doing these two opposing things at the same time could actually confuse the spirit world and potentially harm the unborn child. It just shows you how deeply they believe every single action is interconnected. So this brings up a huge question. How does a culture with a worldview this integrated even begin to survive the pressures of the modern world? Well, their story of adaptation is just a testament to their incredible resilience. I mean, starting in the 1950s, their traditional religion was straight up banned. They were subjected to these forced assimilation policies, with officials literally burning their sacred artifacts. For decades, it was a fight just for the right to exist. But they didn't just survive, they adapted. They essentially learned how to navigate two different worlds. They keep their traditions alive in private while putting on a more modern face when they have to. And today, they're brilliantly using modern tools, everything from social media to ecotourism, to preserve and share their culture, but on their own terms. It's how they're making sure their ancestral knowledge gets passed down. So what all this really shows is that the Mentawai are not living in the past. They're not relics. They are incredibly sophisticated problem solvers. They've developed these truly sustainable systems for living, from social health to ecological balance, that our modern world is honestly still struggling to figure out. And that leaves us with one final big thought. You know, in our constant search for sustainable solutions and a deeper sense of community, maybe, just maybe, the most valuable answers aren't somewhere in the future. Maybe they're hidden in the 4,000-year-old wisdom of the Mentawai. What do you think?